If you have not seen this woman's face or her blue light glasses before while you were at a SCVA tournament, then you might have just been living under a rock. I don't know. Deanna Schneyer, officiator for SCVA, volleyball coach, author, as we can see. Yeah, I'm pretty sure everybody that has been a part of a tournament at Momentous or Clav or wherever else has seen you and your blue light glasses around. But I wanted to just sit down and really have this conversation with you and kind of give people an insight to who you are and also what you represent, from being a coach, being an official in the SCVA, as well as being an author and being an advocate for mental and physical performance. We see a lot of times people either separate the two or only focus on physical performance, but in your book, The Winning Element, you're really not only putting an emphasis on mental performance, but you're also marrying the two to provide these athletes with a way that they can be their best selves. So thank you so much for being here today.
Grateful to be here. Today's going to be so much fun. Let's hit all the things.
Perfect. So first, I would like you to give the people who don't know you just a quick background on yourself, right? How did you come into the world of volleyball and what are you really doing in this space?
All right. So grew up playing volleyball in Southern California.
What position?
Middle, duh.
I was going to say.
Middle, all day. Yeah. Only position.
Give me some.
And of course, as a middle, I needed to set as well, because
we take the second ball.
Yeah, always.
What is it? What even is a setter?
I went to Diamond Ranch High School. Shout out to the Panthers.
We played Diamond Ranch in CIF. Yeah, Buckley versus Diamond Ranch. I think it might have been, this was 2022 season. No, it was either in playoffs or preseason. I remember Diamond Ranch. But go ahead, just a little.
I absolutely love it. That's the only time that you guys come out and play us, because it's so far.
Oh my goodness.
It's crazy. But I really fell in love with the sport. I grew up playing basketball. Loved basketball. Played from the time I was 5 until the time I was 16 when I started playing volleyball. I'd had hard coaches while I was playing basketball in high school. And just the love of the game just started to dwindle. And I found this other really fun sport that even when you made mistakes, you celebrated. You supported your teammates, and it was a lot more fun. And it was also this curve of, when you first start something, you can get better really fast.
Yeah.
So, I'd been playing basketball for for multiple years, 10 years at that point. So by the time I started doing volleyball, it was like, man, there's all these new nuggets. There's all these, it's a new sport. I can get better at this quickly. And I was falling out of love with basketball. Started playing volleyball. Somebody told me, hey, if you worked hard, you could get a Division I scholarship. And the dream before that was, hey, I wanted to play basketball in college. And as that love for basketball started to dwindle, and somebody said, hey, if you worked really hard at this, you can still achieve that dream. I latched onto that. I started training every day. I would go to extra practices. I played for Club West. Our 17s year was really successful. It was our 17s year that was more successful than the 18s. We went to the Junior Olympics, which now it's called Junior Nationals, but I played in the Junior Olympics. We got a bronze. We earned ourselves a bronze medal. And as a result of my performance in that tournament, I was a Junior Olympic All-American. So that got my name out there, and I started getting those college letters pouring in saying, hey, we're interested in you. And this is when recruiting was very different.
Yeah.
But I pursued my undergrad at the University of Texas Pan American, which is now the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley, because we've swapped names. Had a beautiful experience there. Played Division I volleyball as a middle, because what other position is more important than the middles?
100%.
Exactly.
All day.
We do everything and get no thanks.
No, and no sets. Side eye to the setters.
All we are is glorified decoys.
Oh,
you're welcome,
goodness.
everybody else, because we opened you up.
And then the one time we don't close the block, it's like, oh, there's a hole in the block. I'm like, I've been working all match, and I have gotten one set. Don't say anything to me right now.
Exactly.
Just be happy I'm still up and jumping.
You feel me. So played in college. After I played in college, I was offered to be a graduate assistant. And when I got that offer, I was like, great. It was at a time, it was in 2009. So like the economy was really strange at that time.
Yeah.
And honestly, I didn't know what I wanted to do, what I wanted to pursue. So getting a master's degree and staying and being able to contribute to the team was something that sounded really appealing. So I stayed, was the GA for a year, hated it, burnt out, don't want that job. So I ended up TAing my second year. So I still got college paid for. It was great. But after that, I pursued only doing triathlons. So I switched gears, started exclusively swimming, running, biking, and just doing strength and conditioning when I wanted to. And with that, it wasn't until 8 years later that I started officiating and coaching again. Mm-hmm. And it took so long for me to get back into it because for so long I had been an athlete. And it was, everything was about sports. Everything was about being an athlete. Everything was
Your
about
whole
training.
identity.
My whole life
was
about that. And even when I was in college and when I look back and think about when somebody would say, oh, I bet you're getting your degree in kinesiology. I would think that was, I thought it was, I thought it was a total knock. Like, no, I'm getting a master's in business. Okay. No, I'm getting a marketing degree.
If you are an athlete, listen, I went to college. I went to Santa Monica College. And when I was going there, I told my mom, I was like, listen, I don't know what I want to do. I know I want to play volleyball. So what should I major in? I was looking through, I'm like, oh, I'll just pick kinesiology. And then all of my athlete friends, I'm like, oh, what are you majoring in? Oh, kinesiology. So if you are a college athlete, you're probably either going to major in kinesiology or business. Like I feel like that's definitely
those are pretty safe,
2. Yeah.
like, and I feel bad now because I've never taken A&P. I've never taken the things, anything in that. I mean, there's professional certifications and now I have knowledge in those areas, but formal training and a degree, oh my gosh, there's so many crazy things in there. And I was looking down on it as being something that was like, oh, it's just that. And that's not fair. That's not cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. But so, been around volleyball since you were very young, been around sports your entire life. The triathlon is very, very, I did not know that, but I can now that kind of, it makes sense because you have all the energy so much. I feel like you can go run a triathlon right now if you wanted to. But I just want to touch on the officiating part of it, right? So I've been coaching for a while. I don't argue. I don't like arguing with officials. Unless I think it's a really, really bad call, me personally. But for the most part, I'm like when my girls will complain about a call or the parents will complain, I'm like, okay, you get 2 seconds to complain and then just figure it out after. Because they're most likely not going to change their call, and that's high school. Some coaches want to protest during club, and we can talk about that a bit later. But nevertheless, I have an incredible amount of respect for referees and for officials because it's not an easy job. It's not an easy job at all. Whenever you're working with people and you're working with their emotions, especially when it comes to youth, dealing with the parents, dealing with the youth, dealing with the coaches. And I know a lot of high-level officials, and their knowledge of the game and their knowledge of how to officiate the game it supersedes a lot of other people that I know. So I know that they know exactly what they're talking about. So I have a lot of respect, but I feel like referees and officials get a lot of flack when they don't deserve it. Mainly because a lot of people from the outside looking in don't know how much you train, know how much you're experienced, what kind of certifications you have to go through. So give us an insight on what it's like to be an official in the SCVA.
All right, so I want to touch on a couple of different things. SCVA's sanctioning body is USA Volleyball. In high school, the sanctioning body is NFHS. In college, the sanctioning body, or in NCAA. Women's, the sanctioning body is PAVO. In men's college, the sanctioning body is USA Volleyball. In international, the sanctioning body is FIVB. So we have 5, unless I've missed one, but we have 5 sanctioning bodies with 5 different rule sets or 4 different rule sets.
So it's a wide spectrum.
Yes. So to answer the question, or we'll dive into the one that's most relevant. So the thing that's most relevant about SCVA, or not even SCVA, but USA Volleyball in general, there's levels and layers to everything. Okay, so let's talk about regions, right? Regional play, national play, and then I'll kind of like weave some things in. But go with me because we'll go big picture and then we'll kind of bring it down.
Yeah, perfect.
In the world of USA Volleyball, you have USA Volleyball is made up of all of these different regions. I wish I had the number, but we have different regions. Southern California is one of the biggest regions.
Yep.
Right? So you have Southern California Volleyball. And within the USA structure, you have provisional referees. These are normally referees that have been officiating for 1 to 3 years. The next step up is a regional referee. And in other regions, they go through a certification process to obtain that. And that means that they go through a written exam, and then they go through an actual R1, R2 evaluation. And for the people who don't know what R1 and R2 are,
Talk to them.
R1, standing on that stand, blowing that whistle, and we normally consider the R1 to be the lead official, the head official, and not
Overturning
necessarily the
calls
most
if
important
they
because
need
we
it.
are a team, but the R1 is making final decision on everything. So R2 is just as important, very important. And the R2 manages the benches, the game table, and basically everything that's going on the floor, right? And then you have, of course, your line judges, which are normally 10-year-old girls or,
Yes.
are normally players from whatever team and division that they are in. But you have provisional, you have regional. After that, you have junior national. Now, the junior national process, and then the next one up is national. Those processes are a little bit more in depth, and they can take 3 years or they can take 25 years. It just depends. And when you go through the junior national or a national certification, a region is sending regional officials that are junior national candidates to a USA sanctioned championship to be evaluated amongst their peers and other people who are looking to pursue that certification.
Yeah.
And then they go through a certification process. And it's on court. There's a written one, but it's mostly an on-court evaluation, R1, R2, and score as well. Because they want to see how you work with the kids, how you work with partners, because that's a really important part. So within that structure, we are blessed in Southern California, number one, for the caliber of the cadre of officials that we have. We see more volleyball than almost any other state in the country. We have volleyball year round.
Yep. Club, high school.
We have everything. And because we have a very large boys or a men's presence, whether it's high school or whether that's club, I mean, anytime you turn up the speed on anything and the intensity and the emotions,
Yep.
you're going to have to level up. So having the boys' presence also, and because we have so much of the boys and we have so much practice, you're hard pressed to find weekends that we don't have volleyball. It's very few and far between. And even on the weekends that, like December, it's like those 2 weeks we don't have anything, but we start up right again.
Yep.
And as soon as we end our, the junior nationals or JOs, we start training for high school. So we're getting reps there, and then we're starting high school, and we're starting college, and then we're starting club, and then we're doing beach, and then so the amount of volleyball that we have in Southern California is crazy, and it's awesome because if this is something that you do frequently, you're going to get a lot of opportunities to get better. And we all know that we get good at the things that we practice. So the more practice that you have, hopefully the better that you get, and hopefully intentional, deep practice. And, you know, it's one of the reasons why we have, in our area, we have a lot of colleges too. And we have a lot of high school. So you want to make your mistakes at the club level. You want to make your mistakes at the at the lower levels. You want to get those reps at the levels that, and it's not about it not mattering. It's about, because it does. Every match matters. The match that even scrimmages, like those matter to those kids. It matters. We have those opportunities to deeply impact those athletes, even when it's not a championship, even when it's just, they waited all week for this. They've been training for months for this. They took their whole entire day. They brought their family out. Like, these matches matter. And it's a really good opportunity for us to practice so that when it is televised, when we do have higher amounts of pressure, when we
national title on the line.
Exactly. When we turn the intensity up on those things, that you're battle tested, right? So brand new SCVA ref comes in, brand new provisional. And for a while we were struggling with officials.
Yeah, there was a huge, that's all listen, I don't know what tournament it was at. I think it was in Reno, and SCVA. I'm gonna come for y'all with this, but it was in Reno, and I think this might have been like at the peak of the ref shortage. They sent out an email saying, "Hey, if you're coaching, we would like you to ref or to officiate if you can." And I'm like, "Nah, I'm not in Reno to officiate. I'm gonna go." I'm going to the convention center, going to the hotel, and going right back. I'm not. But there was one match that was just starting too late. And I was like, you know what? Or our pool was behind. I was like, you know what? Okay, I'll go up and I'll officiate just so we can get it done. Everybody was cool with it. I was like, cool. So I'm on the stand and I'm officiating. And I'm like, oh, this is actually kind of cool. But the only reason I say SCVA was because I was promised $20 per match. I was promised $20 per match. I did not get my $20. So next time I go to Reno, I'm at the tournament.
That's not SCVA, my man. You need to talk to
different.
Yeah, that is not SCVA. That is Reno tournament.
Look at me going for the wrong people. Sorry, SCVA. Thank you guys. I appreciate you.
I got you guys.
Reno,
I got you.
I'm coming for you. But
yeah,
we did have a huge shortage, and to fix that, we need new refs. So we have this influx of, like, at the tournament, I know a lot of the refs that I've been with throughout the season. I'm seeing a lot of new refs, a lot of new faces. So talk to us about that, what they're going through as new refs in terms of getting them ready to make sure that when they're reffing at these tournaments that they're doing it at the best level possible.
Okay. So a new ref, and I'll touch on the shortage. We don't have a shortage anymore.
Got it done.
Yeah. It's really exciting because for a long time, and it's a complaint that has been around for a while, that our referee cadre is too old and does not reflect
the times,
the community.
We're
and with that, and I think at one time that's true, and in Southern California it's not true anymore. We've got a lot of everything. We've got diversity in ages. We've got diversity on all spectrums, which is really exciting because when people share that, I'm like, have you been to a tournament?
Yeah.
Because I think we're holding it down in that area. But as far as from a new referee standpoint, before they even get there, hopefully they're reading their rule book and the case book and all of those things. But the most important, and let's go from a coaching standpoint. If I'm going to get you ready for your first volleyball tournament, right, as a player, I'm not going to be talking to you about strategies on rotations. I'm going to tell you where to go. But I'm not,
Yeah.
right? So, and different people have different strengths when it comes to officiating. But when we first start getting people in there, we got to show you how to facilitate a match.
Keep it going in a timely manner.
Yeah, we gotta teach you how to facilitate the match, number one. And control the match isn't necessarily the right language. It doesn't resonate with me, but just to put it there. You have to be able to facilitate the match. You gotta be able to blow your whistle. You gotta know when to blow your whistle and when to signal faults so that people know what's going on so that we can effectively play, right? And it's really interesting when you see like new officials and veteran officials, because the pace of the match should feel seamless. The pace should not be choppy. And as a referee, I'll give this too. If you're impatient, you are not in flow with the match, right?
Yeah.
It's our job to set the tone, but it's not just us. I mean, we have 12 people on the court, we've got things going on, so you have to be in resonance with the match that's occurring. And that takes a little bit of time. But a new official is going to read their rule book. They're going to study up. They're going to go to a clinic, a long clinic, and they're going to get the basics on this is how you blow the whistle, and then they actually learn how to blow the whistle, and most people don't. You have to use your tongue up against the whistle.
I'm learning new things every time.
I'm telling you, people don't know how to blow a whistle. Sometimes I'm like, what are you doing? It's like, blow your whistle, right? So we have to teach them how to physically blow a whistle, right? It's not, even coaches, they don't know what they're doing either.
Yeah, I've never. I honestly, I've been coaching club, and quick side, I have a confession to make to you, right?
Oh, I'm here.
I've been coaching club since about 2021, and I recently just learned how to do book. I've never learned how to do book before.
You're not alone. Not me, but
I've literally, and I will, for those who don't know how to do book, it looks super intimidating. It's literally the easiest thing in the world.
As soon as you know the pattern and the flow, it's super duper simple. But when you look at it, it's a lot of slashes, it's a lot of columns, it's a lot of Roman numerals with some squares, and it can be intimidating for sure.
Yeah.
And that's one of the first things that we teach them as well, is you need to know how to score. So you got to know how to score. You got to know how to blow your whistle. You got to know how to facilitate the match. You have to know what faults are important to call or what the most popular ones are.
Yeah.
And then after that, we take them through an on-court training, and those things are going to be separated because the clinic is normally like half a day or like multiple hours. And then we take them through an on-court training. And that on-court training normally happens with like 12-year-olds. And it's like lower level 12-year-olds, so we're not really affecting the outcome of any matches here. And it's not intimidating for somebody who's trying something brand new, because even somebody who's been in the volleyball community, whether they're coaching, parents, in the community in general, but until you have a whistle in your mouth and you're standing 5.5 feet above everybody else,
it's different.
It is very different. Yeah. You gotta get used to everybody's looking at you to either make a decision or say what's next, and you don't even get to say it. You just gotta signal it, right? So it's a lot of nonverbals. So with that, there's an on-court process that they go through. And the people who've been coaching and who have been R2ing, because at our tournaments, we typically have the coaches R2, unless you guys are telling us that you need to do book because you don't want to stand, I'm one of those too. When I'm coaching, I don't want to work.
Yeah, I've been standing all day.
I don't want to work either.
Yeah.
I do, and my kids are really good at book. Ugh. But with that being said, we have different levels of expertise who come in to referee. People who've been coaching for 20 years and have been R2ing pick it up pretty quickly, so they'll have less on-court time. It
sounds like, and I've been saying this a lot. Yes, I've had some quarrels with refs here and there in the past, right? The majority of arguments that I've had, or I'll call them nice debates that I've had with refs, have been like you said, those provisional refs coming in, like it's literally their first few games, or maybe it's their first season or first 2 seasons. And me just being a coach for a long time and knowing the game, not just coaching, but being a part of the game of volleyball for a long time, and I see somebody come in and they make a call that in my mind I'm like, no, I know that is wrong. I don't argue judgment calls, like, because whatever, you're judging, you're the ref, you have the certifications to do it, fine. But when you make a call that's wrong, that I know that is not the game of volleyball, that's when I get a little bit upset. But like I said, those interactions have been with those provisional refs coming in. So overall, hearing the process that it takes, I think it's safe to deduce that if somebody is up there reffing a high-level high school match or a high-level club match, they are up there for a reason.
Yes.
They know it. If they were not able to ref a match of that high of a level, they would not be. We are in open volleyball, 17 open nationals. We know that those refs are making 99.9% of the times they're making the right calls because they know what they're doing. In terms of, and we're just having this conversation off camera, let's talk about the spectator to official dynamic, right? I see.
Yes.
I see. It's one thing to go back and forth with a coach, right? Even to some levels, I don't think that coaches should get too crazy because it's just a respect thing at the end of the day, right? Don't get disrespectful. But as an official, when you are talking to somebody who understands the game of volleyball and they're arguing call with you, and we're debating, if you make a call in one of my matches, and I send my captain over there to talk about you, I'm like, okay, to talk to you is like, why did you call a double on that versus not this call? Was it the spin that you called a double on? Was it the fact that she held the ball for too long? Was she not square? We're talking in volleyball terms, but a lot of the times I see that when a parent has an objection to a call, the conversation goes from being volleyball and like logically based to emotional, right? I see so many times where
Emotions? What? No, they're only concerned with the fact of the perspective.
They have the rule book with them in their back pocket at all times.
They studied all night.
But I'm like, what? So, somebody will say, "Oh, that's not a lift," or "Oh, that ball, she was over. You have to call her over on that." I'm like, listen, as long as any part of the ball is on the plane of the net, it's fair play. That is a rule. That is not subjective. That is objective. You're saying, "Oh no, it's over. She reached over." Yeah, she might have reached over a little bit, but the ball was still on the plane. So that's just one example. And I was just telling you off camera, I couldn't be a ref because I'm not mature enough to do it. I would sit here. If I was reffing a match, it would probably take an hour and a half because I'm sitting here. Every parent that has something to say to me about a call, I'm gonna sit here and I'll talk to you about it. We'll talk. You wanna scream stuff, whatever. I'll turn around and I will talk back to you, and that would just completely ruin the flow of the game. But take me through that spectator official dynamic and what it's really like from your perspective.
Okay, let's go level. There's always levels and layers to everything. So the first thing I want to talk about is, I think, one of the most important things in volleyball, as a coach, as a referee, and as a player. This sport is the most dynamic, in my opinion, sport out there. Everything is dynamic. Everything is changing. Not only are you playing with, if you're playing with 5 other people against 6 other people that are rotating all the time. The ball, you never see the same ball twice. Yes, there's patterns, absolutely. Yeah. But this is one of the most dynamic sports that's out there. It takes so much creativity. The big high level of this is for you to be at your best as a coach, as a player, or as a referee is presence. You have to be in the present moment. So let's go from an athlete perspective. You're on the 15-1s. You're playing high level. Anyone's team, you're playing high level. You're that top 16 teams, battling it out, duking it out, training. What happens if you don't sleep well the night before? Probably not as good as you could have been. It's the same with referees. It's the same with coaches. You can be great at what you do. You can train hard, but if you aren't operating in the present moment, or if you're not even paying attention in the moment that you made a call or you needed it, nothing else matters. That's why you have Olympic level officials make mistakes or not be present. So presence and being present is one of the most important things in this sport, is being in the present moment. One of the piece between the spectators and the officials and coaches, really, volleyball's perspective. We are standing in different places. We are sitting in different places.
And
you can't see what I see.
I happen to be 6-7 feet above you guys right now, so that's just a little bit of a different vantage point.
And you're going to have a different vantage point as well. You might have a better. I call it the assistant coach angle, and there's this angle, and it's where there's a touch off of when the outside goes up, and there's a ball it's a blind spot that is very difficult for us to see. For anybody to see. Lines, down, up, R1, R2, it's very difficult for us to see. So it makes sense that with 100 people watching a game, 100 people are going to see something different.
Yeah.
Right? And typically, we all make mistakes. Sometimes they're parents. We all make mistakes, and we all see things differently, right? So there's always going to be an element of judgment and an element of perspective, as well as presence, that go into a match. So, and then there's just like rule interpretations and special situations. Early in my career, I had really great mentors that would help me manage those. Everybody is always going to have an opinion on what you call. Always.
Every play. Everybody's
going to have an opinion. You might be right. You might be wrong, or you might have not had the angle that they had. It's very different. I think, and let's take it from the regional perspective. As an official, we manage matches. We facilitate a match. We facilitate a pool. We're ambassadors, and we are stewards of this game from a different perspective. We are stewards of this game. And for us, we are in a place of making this match roll and make decisions, right? And keeping it rolling. Not for time, but just because that's what it takes, right? So we're stewards of this game. And in a regional play, it's really important for us to contribute to the knowledge of the coaches, the athletes, and the parents. So sometimes we will have those conversations when a match is done and a parent will ask us, wait, what did you call? And not even controversially, just asking like, well, what was the call? Or what do you mean when you do this? Or what does that mean? I didn't understand what you called there. Can you explain it to me? Or even on a timeout, or even when I'm trying to do something, they'll ask, well, what did you call? I don't understand that. And that's our opportunity to explain.
Yeah, to educate.
And to educate, right? Like that is a part of what we do regionally. As you climb up the ladder, as you get to the higher divisions, as you go to national tournaments, whether they're qualifiers or national championships, at the higher levels, interaction with officials is prohibited. So if you go for a certification for your junior national, your national, and you're at a national championship, you're at a qualifier, and you interact with a spectator, boop, automatic fail. You're done. So it's really interesting when we have, especially Southern California teams that go and compete in a qualifier somewhere else, and they are, for the most part, like we're a volleyball community here. A lot of the referees have been coaches or are coaches. A lot of the coaches either played with the referees or their kids, everything is interconnected in this, especially in this area. So you go from being in an area where it's where you're open and it's fun and it's friendly-ish. There's still competitive, and there's mutual respect. And it's a little bit more informal. And then the Southern California teams go to a national qualifier, and it's like those refs are so cold.
It seems like that's one of the best ways to do the job then.
This is the reason why.
Yeah.
Because at that level, it's a championship at that level. And USA Volleyball in general, like that's not, like we are not supposed to interact with spectators. But in regional play, especially at the lower levels, and I don't say lower levels, I mean just in age as well. Like It's an education process because we are stewards of this game.
Yeah. So from the conversation that we've been having, we've learned how much these refs are trained and qualified to be at the level that they're at. We've learned just really, because we're looking at the refs on the outside looking in, and we're kind of getting an insight on what it's like to be an official for USA Volleyball in the SCVA. Diving back into the spectator dynamic, right? I'm going to say this, and I mean this with every single ounce of my heart. Parents, stop yelling at the scores table.
Yes.
Stop it.
Yes.
I am so. I wish you guys can see how you look when a 12-year-old, 13, 14-year-old girl makes a mistake at the scores table. And I posted a video on, it was a funny video, just kind of like over exaggerating how parents are with the scores table. And I had a few parents respond, and they would say, it's always the same thing. It's like, oh, the girls need to get off their phones and need to pay attention to this, that, and the third. I'm like, okay, you're right. They do need to be on their phones. When my girls are reffing, I'll let them be on their phones. I'll let them have their phones there. But once it becomes a distraction, I'm like, no. I don't even let other players be at the table because you're gonna focus. But for you as a grown adult to think like most of you guys have kids. How often does your daughter, does your son pay attention to every single minute detail? We know for a fact that they are going to forget to flip the scoreboard, might give it to the wrong team. They might wait a little too long to flip it. Stop yelling at them. I had one situation where I was reffing at draft, and I think draft, it was a hot day, tensions were running high, the pool was like an hour behind, but I was down reffing, and one of my girls were line reffing. She made a call, the call was out. They thought that the ball might have chipped the line. 7, I'm standing here, I'm her, the parents are probably over there. 7 adults stood up, started yelling at her. I immediately beeline from the rest stand and go over there, and I tell them, sit down, be quiet, and watch the game. Do not yell you're not gonna sit here and yell at this 16-year-old girl. And the thing that really kind of pisses me off about it is, as soon as I went over there was 7 of them, 6 of them sat down immediately. Mm-hmm. So when a grown adult is here for you to yell at me. Nobody wants to yell at me. One woman kept standing up. She was like, she made the wrong call. That ball was in. I was like, that ball could be in, out, up, down, outside, in. I don't care where it is. She made the call, respect it. And you're not going to sit here and you're not going to yell at her. So parents, stop doing that. I'm so serious. It's not a good look. It's terrible. And you're showing your kids that they don't need to control their emotions. How am I as a coach going to tell this athlete, hey, control your emotions in the midst of the game, play the game, when they look and they see their parents complaining over 1 point? How am I going to tell them next play when they look at you, their ultimate role model, and they can't get that? So stop doing that.